Welcome to iLecture Online, and here are some examples of how to find derivatives of functions involving trigonometric functions. Here we have f of x equal to sine of x times the cosine of x, and they ask us to find the derivative, f prime of x. That's another way of writing the derivative. So f prime of x is equal to, since this is a product, we're going to use the product rule, which means we take the first times the derivative of the second, and the derivative of cosine is the minus sine of x, plus the second, which is the cosine of x, times the derivative of the sine, which is the cosine of x. And so therefore f prime of x is equal to the sine times the sine, which is the sine squared, or don't forget the minus sine squared of x plus the cosine square of x. And that would be the derivative of that. Looking at our second example here, looks a little bit different. We have a combination of x's and trigonometric functions there. So let's see how we apply that, how we apply our rules to this. And if you look at this, this is a product of this times this, and then we subtract that from it. So here we also have to use the product rule. So f prime of x is equal to the first, x cubed, times the derivative of the second. Now we have the sine square of x. So here we have to use the chain rule. We put the exponent in front, times the sine of x to the first power, times the derivative of what's inside, or what's the sine of x. And so the derivative of sine of x is the cosine of x. So that's the first times the derivative of the second, plus the second, which is the sine square of x, times the derivative of the first, which is times 3x squared. And then we have minus 5 cosine of x. We take the derivative of the cosine, and derivative of cosine is the negative sine. So that's minus 5 times the negative sine of x. All right, now combining everything as much as we can. Let's see here, we have f prime of x is equal to, we have 2x cubed times the sine of x times the cosine of x. Then we have plus 3x squared times the sine squared of x. And then we have plus, because minus times the minus is a plus, 5 sine of x. And that's about as simple as we can write it. I don't think there's much we can do. We could potentially factor out a sine of x, because we find a sine of x in each term. So at that point, we can simply factor out that. So we have the sine of x. Anything else we can factor out? I don't think so. So sine of x times, then we have 2x cubed times the cosine of x plus 3x squared times the sine of x plus 5. And that's probably the best final form we can put it in. And that's the derivative of our second example. So here you can see that the rules of the product rule, the chain rule, and the quotient rule still apply when we deal with trigonometric functions like this and when we try to find the derivatives. All right, let's try to come up with a few that are a little bit more challenging.